Hi, welcome to my channel, The Parent and Priestess. I'm Lois, and today I want to talk to you about what to do if my partner is not on board with conscious parenting, with parenting in a respectful way, gentle parenting, priestess parenting from a soul space. I really feel like that's for me, and he just or she doesn't feel like this is the right thing. They think that our child is constantly getting away with stuff, or we are giving in, or they are manipulative, blah 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 blah. Here is the thing. When you take the expectation off of your child to be a certain way, you have to take the expectation off of yourself and also off of your partner to be a certain way. So we cannot be in the flow with our child of that soul to soul connection. Well, we can, but and then not be in the flow with someone else. We can do that, but we can't, it's not going to work long term. It's going to crash and burn along the way somewhere. So if you are in flow with your child and not with your partner, because you're placing an expectation on them to be a certain way or to change or to mold them into something, you are coming at them from the same paradigm that you don't want them to be in with your child. So all you need to do is nothing. You can't do anything to change them. All you can simply do is model like you do with your child. And this is not parenting your spouse or anything like that. We're not playing mommy. That just makes me want to crawl out of my own skin, as I'm sure it does you. Playing mother role or father role, whatever, with your other half. We're not going into that space, but what we are moving into is the deep inner knowing that whatever it is that they are thinking, wherever it is that they are within their own consciousness, within their own level of awareness, within their own growth, within their own path, with where they're at in their life situation, their inner life, and how connected they are to their inner life. And inner life, I mean soul, source, universe, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Some people call it God. I'm not remotely religious at all, so that word doesn't resonate with me. If it resonates with you, then fine. That inner space, depending on how connected they are into that inner space, depends on what they are then believing, like whatever thoughts are coming into their mind, what ones they're picking out, and what patterns they have and patterns they're playing out, and what patterns they're feeding into and placing on you and your child, blah 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 blah. So just recognizing that that is what is going on is all you need to do. You don't need to then play fixer or anything like that into trying to get them to be a certain way to make you feel happy and peaceful within. All you need to focus on is on your own inner peace. The outside will then reflect that back to you. So if you're focusing on modeling respect and empathy, connection on a soul level with your child, and they notice that and they see that, often they will kind of just recognize that, okay, like this isn't an instant gratification thing. This is a long-term thing. Like, you're in this for the long haul. And they will start to even see, like, quite quickly the change in behavior when you begin to interact with your child in this way, and that it's more connecting and loving because you're meeting them on that space and not placing yourself above or below. So if they're still trying to place themselves above or below, maybe it's that they're not trying to control, but like be in control of your child. Maybe it's that they're being permissive and it's like just really enraging you and pissing you off because they don't have any boundaries at all. Maybe it's that. It can be either way. It can go up or down. But when they're not meeting on the soul level, it's just like they then might notice that you are connecting in that soul way, and they will just feel that it's not really something that they will cognitively process or think about, because it's not thinking. This isn't thinking. Soul stuff is not thinking. There's no opposite. It's simply being. So they will not logically think that through, and if they are, then they are still in that level of that pattern and that programming, and that's okay. That's just what it is. They will feel the energetic shift within you and your child when you are being in that space. If you are trying to be in that space with your child and you have that resentment in you for them, they're going to feel that too. Your child's going to feel that too, and the whole energy of that space is going to be there. So that's why it's so important to only focus on you, not focus on external people outside with you. So that's why really it's not about anyone else. It's like the parenting thing is not about your child or your children, but it's all about them at the same time. That's the paradox of it. So when you fully focus in and focus on you, then the outside changes and it reflects back to you what's going on within. So if you're focusing on your soul alignment, if you're focusing on peace, then that is what you will see reflected back to you. If you do not see that reflected back, then like continuously, then that is where you come to the point of generally saying, okay, well, a lot of people come to the point of saying, is this relationship right for me anymore, like this adult relationship? And generally not just because of the parenting thing. There's generally like a lot of other underlying stuff that's misaligned off, where you are not connecting in that soul level way either. You're just feeling off on that. So it's like usually the parenting part of it is just like one aspect of your relationship with your spouse, and then you get into like all the other areas of your relationship with them, and then you start to notice the same thread, the same pattern running through the whole entire system. So it's not actually even about anything to do with your kid. It's just about you and how you feel within this relationship itself. But that can be like the major thing that kind of triggers that, or is in your face about that, or is like constantly pushing you or pressuring you or feeling like I need to do something about this now, because that is like the main like focus of your day is your child, and like the love that pours out of you into that space, and for them as well it's the same thing. So that's why it magnifies that focal point of where do I need to look within me. So if it is a situation where you are not with your child's other parent, then it comes up in conversation like you should be doing it this way, or blah 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 blah. If they are messaging you with that kind of language, you do not respond at all until you are feeling that inner deep peace, calm, zen, no expectations on them, no attachment to an outcome, blah 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 blah. You then respond from the soul space and not from the level of the mind of reaction. So it's responding, not reacting. And that's what brings it back into the soul space. Then however they respond or react is nothing to do with you. That's just their stuff. It's not to do with you. So don't take it on. Don't take that on as your own. You don't need to do anything about that. Again, you don't need to do anything. A child only ever needs one parent that is conscious, aware, self-sourcing. I like that word a lot. Self-sourcing, not as in I am doing it all myself, holding it all myself, I'm a powerful woman, blah 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 blah, that is like a full force and get what I want, and I am creating all of this myself. It's more of like that I'm self-sourcing my own inner state of peace, and the rest flows. That space. There's a very big difference between those two energies, and self-sourcing is such a big part of this because it's all interlinked. Like your child, and if they're not on board with conscious parenting and all that stuff, that like your child only needs one parent doing all of that stuff to model it to them to what it is, and for them to be able to feel this soul knowing of I am soul, I am source, I am, simply I am, that-ness, that isness. That's all they need to have it reflected back to them by one person, one of you. It doesn't have to be both. And when the other one is then placing conditioning or trying to program their mind with that conditioning, those programs, those spaces, one, it's less likely to go in because they're so like in their own power of their inner knowing of who it is they are, and their like pillar of light within is very strong within that. It's very steeped within that. It's not wobbly at all. Sometimes like when the conditioning comes up, if it's like if they're bringing that into the equation, such as it could be something as little as if you're a good boy, then I will buy you sweets, or something like that, which isn't a phrase or the kind of language that you would use if you're being a conscious parent, because you don't have good and bad involved in the entire paradigm of your parenting, so you wouldn't say something like that. You wouldn't say if you are good, because good, like this is a whole other video, but good is just such a vast word to a child, and like what does that even mean? So if they bring that into conversation with your child and you feel like icky about that, then it's okay, because your child will have that level of like light within them shining out that is so strong that it just simply kind of deflects that back off of them. It's not affecting them in any way. They're not going to suck that in and keep that in and be like, oh, I need to be good, I need to keep that fear, because if you are good is like projection of fear onto a child, so they feel that fear of I need to be a certain way in order to get something that I really want, or in order to receive my parents' love. So, and the parent in saying if you are good is kind of like, if you do what I want, then I can give you my love, give you what you want. So that's the fear on the both sides that come, like the energy that comes into that space when that language is brought up and spoken. It places you above them. So if they're bringing something like that into a situation, then it'll simply, like, the stronger that you are within your pillar of light within, then like you are meeting your child on that level of their soul. And so the stronger that they're going to feel, because they're already within, like, deep within that wholeness, because when you're born as a baby, you're completely pure, completely whole, and our brains are like a clear computer program, and all that programming conditioning goes in there. When you're born as a baby, you don't have any of that. It's just pure soul, it's pure light, it's that deep inner peace and stillness and knowing of like, ah. That's why the adults get a soul-to-soul recognition and cry, because it's just such a beautiful moment in presence. So, and like that soul recognition of knowing that there's more to us than just our physical body and our minds. There's more. There's three parts, not just the mind, not just the body. There's the soul inside, and that's not personality. That's not anything of like a surface level that we can see. It's a feeling, it's a knowing, it's a deep inner knowing. And so we have that when babies are born, and they have that already, so they're in that wholeness. So the more that you can come into your own wholeness and meet them in that space, the more it's just going to deflect naturally off that conditioning when that comes in from the other parent or anyone. They might question it after, they might ask you something about it, and just say, oh, that's okay. Like you kind of have that conversation as you need to have that conversation. You know the words to say in that conversation. If you're staying in your soul alignment, it'll just come whatever needs to be said in those moments, or like the physical contact that needs to happen with the cuddles or the play or whatever like needs to can reconnect. So if they're coming out from that space but it's triggering you and it's pissing you off and you don't want them to keep saying that, obviously you can have that conversation with them, but just don't move into that fixer mode. The more you move into your own soul alignment and model how it is that you want to be with them, like it's kind of like no matter what they do, it can't affect their wholeness. That cannot be touched, it cannot be manipulated, it cannot be molded or like pulled or like moved and changed into anything different than the wholeness, because it's singularity. There's no opposite. This is duality in the mind, and it's not something our brains will understand because it's not meant to. Our brains only understand form, structures, rules, good, bad, I feel good, I feel bad, I'm hot, I'm cold, opposite. Male, female. The soul is wholeness, the soul is singularity, unity, whatever you want to call it. No opposite. So the more that we can come into that space, the more it will less likely to, the more like you won't care what they think of you parenting in this way or how they want to parent or anything like that. And it's okay to place that boundary if they keep going on and on and on at you about it, but just watch that you're not going on and on at them about it either, because you're creating that dynamic between you, and that you're staying in that space where it's okay to go on and on at each other about it, and you want to break free from that. So you have to move yourself outside of that space, and you have to stop doing it. You have to like cut that addiction off to that pattern, and that can come down to you, and that can be the difficult process, and that can be like, oh well, why do I have to do all that? Like my clients will say to me a lot like, oh, why do I have to do all this work? Why aren't they doing it? And why is it constantly me that has to do this, and they get the easy time and the fun time and blah 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 blah. And again, that's coming into placing form and rules and structure and meaning on what it means to be in different places on your life path, on your journey, and that's it. We don't need to place a meaning on that. It is what it is. And it's not it is what it is because I'm laying down and I'm settling. It's not that. Because the mind will always look for a meaning. This is the isness of the acceptance of what is. It's completely different. It's completely different paradigm. It's completely different energy. So that is what to do if your spouse or your partner or your ex or the parent of your child, the other parent of your child, is not on board with you being conscious, with you being in a respectful connection with your child, with you bringing that awareness into the moment of presence that they are, that I am. Speak to you soon. Bye.